As long as you are convinced you have never done anything, you can never do anything. Malcolm X. Welcome to the We Don't Believe You podcast series. Our mission is to neutralize and dispel the false narratives, negative images, and disparaging stereotypes that have been perpetuated about Black people through various media outlets for centuries. Each week, we will highlight stories of Black excellence, greatness, and success of the past, present, and future, all of which share one common trait. They chose not to believe the negative images or stereotypes that said they couldn't succeed, but instead achieved massive success in spite of them. And now, here's your host, Brian McCoy.
Peace, and welcome to another episode of the We Don't Believe You podcast series, where our mission is to dispel and to reverse the false negative narratives and negative stereotypes that have been perpetuated about Black people in America for centuries. We do this by highlighting positive Black images of individuals who chose not to believe those false negative narratives or stereotypes, but instead chose to succeed in spite of them. And our next guest is the embodiment of this principle. He attended St. Augustine University, a historically Black college and university in Raleigh, North Carolina, but graduated from the Art Institute of Atlanta with an associate's degree in culinary arts. He's worked in the culinary industry for over 30 years. After graduating from culinary school, he worked for media mogul Ted Turner as a corporate chef, where he trained other chefs and has opened 30 restaurants for the mogul. In 2007, he combined his culinary expertise and experience with his natural-born hustler and entrepreneurial spirit. He combined it with his passion, drive, determination, ambition, and started Chef La's Fish Fry Mobile. 2012, now equipped with even more culinary experience, plus 5 years of experience running his own business and a thorough knowledge, wisdom, and understanding of the business of food service, he and his wife opened Chef La's Fish Fry in Smyrna, Georgia, and have been in business for 13 years. He's a husband, a father, a chef, a caterer, a culinary artiste, an entrepreneur, a philanthropist, and one of the most down-to-earth and coolest dudes I know. Please welcome President and CEO of Chef La's Fish Fry in Smyrna, Georgia, Chef Lakee Upshaw.
Thank you, brother. Thank you. Boy, you brought me out today, my man.
That's the job.
I appreciate that. Thank you for having me on the show, man. And I'm delighted to be here and to share some of my journey and to where I come from and to where I am now. So thank you for having me, my brother.
My pleasure. And thank you for being a positive Black image.
Yeah.
So we all know that success is not linear and there's no straight line to success. And like any other success story, yours came with many twists and turns. So let's start from the beginning. Where were you born and raised?
Born in Brooklyn, New York, East New York section. Father was from the Fort Greene area. Mom came from Wilmington, North Carolina, and she was fresh out the South. My dad had been here, originally from Alabama, but he had been in New York since he was about 12. And there was a local hangout where some of the folks from my mom's hometown would hang out at in the Fort Greene section of Brooklyn. And that's where she met James Junebug Upshaw. And they dated, got married, and divorced real quickly. And she became a young mother. I think when I was born, she had just turned 21 and just got to New York maybe about a year prior to her meeting my dad and getting pregnant, before she got pregnant. And, so it was a journey for her, trying to figure herself out, what she wanted to do. So I believe I was sent to live with my grandmother for a couple of years, not too long, until my mom got on her feet really well. And then, from then on, it was straight New York.
So East New York. So I remember J. Rue the Damager.
Oh, yeah.
J. Rue the Damager labeled East New York. He refers to it as Homicide Central. So,
The neighborhood was rough. I was fortunate not to have to go down that run where some of my peers were going to the city, what they call at my time, during my time, hitting pockets. And they would go and dig pockets, run by, get behind somebody, and they feel like they got a little stack in their pockets. They'll just shove their hands in their pockets and try to grab whatever it is, or what they call get money bags. So it sounded interesting. It sounded fun, but I was scared of going to jail, man. I never wanted to take that trip to Rikers Island. I heard stories about that. But on the other side of that, there was some positive brothers in the neighborhood that kind of, reared me into, getting jobs. Some of my older friends were messengers where they delivered packages throughout Midtown, Uptown. And that was the way that, they started earning, money. And I thought that would be something cool for me to do. So when I got to high school, it took me down that path. So that avenue, gave me the lane to not to think about doing crime. Think about doing the things that I know that my mom wouldn't have been happy with. And I had a mother who stayed on me, single parent growing up, and she was pretty hard on me. So I either had to deal with her or deal with the police, and I rather what I'm saying, deal with them before I deal with her. But so it kept me on the straight and narrow, man. And my family, my grandparents played a big vital part of my development, and I had one of those praying grandmothers, and she's always, and even to this day now, she's not here in physical form but in spirit. But I do believe her blessings and her prayers that she prayed all throughout her time of me growing up still is with me today to kind of keep me on the straight and narrow, and to kind of navigate this thing through called life.
cool. So, describe growing up. Describe growing up as a little kid in, I would guess, 70s, 80s, 90s in Brooklyn, New York. Describe Brooklyn. Describe East New York that you remember as growing up there.
I mean, it was fun. I had a fun childhood. We played together. Of course, the neighborhood street games, stick ball, skelly. We were kind of heavy into BMX bikes, so those things of that nature. We would all get our little red lines, our mongooses, and our harrows and GT performers, and we would travel through the neighborhood and go to different sides of town and just ride. So I remember doing a lot of bike riding. We played football in the street, tag. So for me, it was a lot of games. My teenage years, we had a game room right on my block across the street. So we would all pile up in there. That was our little hangout spot. And, we would play video games all day long and shoot pool. So for me, you would see things happen, but nothing really happened to my core group. Of course, we'll get into a little scuffle with maybe the project guys, but at the end of the day, we all became cool because some of us went to same schools and things of that nature. So I had a good time. I love the East End. I've been in the neighborhood since I was 5. So I don't remember living anywhere else. I know we lived in the Bushwick section when I was born, and when I was about 4, we moved to East New York. So I remember I was in kindergarten, to be honest, daycare. So like I said, about 4 years old, we moved into East New York, and we've been in that same section for the last 45, 46 years. And, mom moved down and got a house in 84. So we actually moved down the street, like maybe 2 blocks from where we were living at when we first moved into the neighborhood. So that's the only place that I've known, you know what I mean, to be called home.
All right. So the neighborhood, could you describe, so you would have grew up, you would have probably been a teenager around when the crack epidemic really hit. How did you see that reflected, or did you see a change in your neighborhood?
I did to a certain degree, but never really had a direct connection with the people who either sold it or the people who even did it. But I knew I had friends who had family members who had succumbed to, using the crack. So, it was just hearing the stories about them and kind of seeing their behavior periodically, but never really was up close and personal around it. The neighborhood has always been the neighborhood. I mean, we had the local weed spots. We had some of the crack spots that was not too far from the weed spots. And because I wasn't there mentally to be connected with that, I kind of stayed away. I wouldn't go down that block if I knew that, oh, they selling crack down there. You know what I mean? That kind of like, all right, I'm gonna walk around the block. So I kind of kept myself busy so that there wouldn't be a connection of me to, for me to do it. One of the things is I went to school in Manhattan. So I didn't go to school in Brooklyn, but I had to travel. So from the time I went to high school, I was out of Brooklyn, meaning that I traveled to Manhattan to go to school. So you didn't see that on the train, on the subways, and of course by the school, there wasn't nothing, nobody over there selling crack, but you heard about the stories. And, I was able, and none of my friends sold it. None of my friends did it. So that was one of the things that, kind of kept me safe and kept me away from it because nobody that I was growing up with at the time was really involved. Now, as my friends got older and they kind of realized what it was about, they decided to probably venture off and do that. But by then, I was focusing on going to college.
So would you say you in your household, would you say you grew up wealthy, middle class, or poor?
So the answer to that, I grew up blessed. I grew up blessed. I remember, not having the lights on. I remember the grocery store run wasn't made. I remember, well, we can't go here this time. Mom doesn't have this kind of money, but I didn't feel poor. You know what I mean? Like if I look at somebody who just doesn't have and homeless, I never been homeless. We never had to, leave our residence to go stay with somebody other than when we moved away from the apartment that we were living in before my mom bought the house. So I remember staying with my aunt in Bushwick for about maybe 2 months. And that was preparation for us to be able to move to the house that my mom's in now. So we've always had a roof over our head. We've always had clothes to wear. We did the things that, we could do when we could. And I felt that, looking back at all that, that we were fortunate and blessed because my mom didn't make a lot of money. She worked, but, she didn't make six figures. I think her highest paying job at the Board of Ed was probably about $40,000 to $50,000. And back then, I guess that was a decent salary to live off of. But I won't consider that, wealthy, rich, poor. There's somebody, just trying to make it.
Working class.
Working class, yeah.
What was it like growing up in your household specifically?
Household was chill. It was, single parent. I'm the only child. So I didn't have interactions with brothers and sisters. I have cousins that would, come by periodically. But for the most part, it was just mom and myself. As I got older, I got into different activities with school, Boy Scouts, and things of that nature. So that stuff kind of kept me busy to where it was like, I come in, she go out. I go out, she come in kind of thing. So as long as she kind of knew where I was, she was pretty much comfortable. But the household was chill, not a whole lot. I mean, I knew my place. I knew I had chores to do, trash and clean up the room and make sure that the house was in order when she came home, that type of thing. It was really laid back for the most part.
So you said your mom was a single mother. Did you know your father at all growing up?
I did. At my early years, he was in Seattle, Washington. I think he moved to Seattle when I was probably about 7. And I believe he kind of resurfaced maybe about 12, 13ish. So I knew, of course, I knew of him. I knew, what his name, what he looked like, but didn't spend a ton of time with him throughout my younger life, my younger days. My grandmother, his mother, played an intricate role in my life because she would have me come visit some weekends. So she actually raised 2 of my cousins who were maybe 6 months behind me, and one was about 3 years behind me. So I had them to go over to hang out with during school breaks, during weekends. We had long holiday weekends and things of that nature. So with me being able to see her regularly, um, kept me connected to him and that side of the family, if that makes sense.
So do you think, like in looking back on your life, do you think you're not having access to him when you were growing up? Do you think that impacted you and how you handle your daughter?
I believe so, yeah. I knew that I wanted to be better than him. So as I got older, and the time where, it's possible for you that you could have a kid, I had some friends that had kids at like 15, 16 type of thing. Even though they're still pretty young. But in my mind, I was saying to myself that, I would never be that type of guy. You know what I mean? As far as not be around, you know, I know things don't work out. People, grow apart, but that should not, affect the child at no degree. But I do understand and know now that my father was a drug addict. He enjoyed heroin. So, with that being said, during those younger days, he wasn't himself. He was under the addiction, the influence of, drugs, heroin, and, he couldn't function right. So, with that being said, once I got older, I recognized, what I'm saying, why he couldn't really be there because he was somewhere being high. And, once you under those type of drugs, you don't have no motivation to be at PTA, to be at, concerts or different functions or, that your kids are having. And then he remarried and had other kids. So his second family pretty much became his priority. So he ended up having 3 more kids with his second wife that we have a relationship with, which is good. And so he did a lot with them and for them, and which was cool. But my mother, excuse me, uh, was a hustler, and what I mean by that is, she did odd jobs to, make ends meet, and she didn't sit around and wait for anybody to give anything to her. And the type of parent that she was, that she is, she felt that she could do this, and which she did on her own, and she didn't need it. There was no child support money coming in. There wasn't no, and I went to private school as well. So I never saw her depressed, wondering how she was going to pay these things. And, with or without him, it got done. So her strength, her resilience was instilled in me that, don't wait for no man. Don't wait for no one. It's something that you want, you go out and you go get it. And if you can't get it right now, you keep working towards it until you're able to, obtain it. So, yeah. So I just used those experiences to make me a better individual. And I was, looking forward to having my first child and had in my mind the type of father that, I was not going to be and the type of father that I wanted to be. So for 9 years, I have been blessed to, be a part of my child's life and, support her. And, it's work, you know.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, nah,
yeah.
that's beautiful wisdom. So in your household, did you grow up cooking when you were a kid?
I did not. We ate out a lot. New York is, you
Uh-huh.
know what I mean? There's so much stuff in the neighborhood. And my mom, being that, the only child, she didn't really have to come home and cook for the family. Now, Sundays would be her deal, but I did not cook at all at home. I ate out pizza, Chinese food. I was one of those guys. A hero, you know what I'm saying? White Castles, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
That
yeah.
kind of stuff as I got older fed me. So that didn't really transpire until like maybe when I got to college.
That you okay. So what would you say, what did you remember wanting to be when you grew up?
You know, I really never thought about it. To be honest, my goal was just to finish high school at the time. You know what I mean? I had already been working. I did my summer youth. I was working my little messenger. You know what I mean? And that was enough to, go to the movies on the weekend, buy a pair of sneakers. So I really didn't have a plan. Uh, only reason why I ended up going to St. Aug College because I had three friends from the neighborhood who were on their way down there. So I was like, word. And I thought about, where I knew where Raleigh was. I knew it wasn't far from Wilmington. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to enroll in St. Aug. But what happened was I didn't do that summer semester. I didn't go until the fall. So from there is when I started thinking about the journey. So yeah, while I was in school, while I was at home in high school, I had no plan. Really, I didn't think about what I wanted to do in life. I just was kind of just navigating through it. I wasn't a big school guy. I graduated on time. I went to summer school once, my senior year for Spanish, but I was just ready just to get through that hump. And college really wasn't big, but I knew that I couldn't just stay home and do nothing. I had to have a plan. I wasn't going in the military, so the only option was either get a job or go to school. So yeah, I made that transition, and from there started the real growth and development of what I wanted to do for myself.
So what would you say are 3 lessons or morals or values that were instilled in you as a child or growing up that you think still serve you well to this day?
Well, one of the things definitely is mean what you say and say what you mean. Uh, if you're going to commit to something and you gave your word, stand on it. The other one I would say, treat people like you want to be treated. Respect those, and you should be able to get the respect back. And just be honest. Honest with yourself, honest with people who you deal with. Um, you know, Life to me now is not hard. I think people make it complicated by not paying attention, by not focusing, by not thinking about the things that they want to do for themselves with the people who they're with. Um, and that's just, how I feel. Of course, we make mistakes, we learn, but you can't make the same mistakes over and over again. So for me, like I said, being honest, being trustworthy, being respectful, um, is what I've learned growing up. And this is coming from older people who have been in my circle who've kind of showed me how to kind of navigate through life. Growing up in New York, the key thing was mind your business. If you mind your business, you don't have no problems with nobody.
Yeah, that
And
usually
that
still
has
works. That usually still works.
you know. So I have kind of grown up, and I'm not perfect with it, but I stay out of other people's business as much as I can. If it doesn't pertain to me, I don't go. I don't go there. Now, if you ask me some questions, want my advice, if I have an opinion, I may speak, but uh, I mind my business, man, and that has kept me out of fights. That has kept me out of controversy and, you know, the back and forth with people. And yeah.
All right. So St. Augustine's College. So the fact that it was a black college, that wasn't the driving force. You wasn't like,
No. I never knew what an HBCU was. Never heard of it. I didn't do a college tour. I didn't apply to a bunch of schools. St. Aug was the only school that I applied for. Like when I graduated, I was like, whew, I'm done. I'm good. I thought I was grown because I could move around and do what I want.
yeah.
I completed high school. You know what I mean? But then I realized in order to grow in life, that's what learning is about. And, you really can't get ahead just with a high school diploma. I mean, some people do. You know what I mean? They become entrepreneurs or they get, city jobs and, just work them for 25 years and they may just have regular formal education. So I knew education was big in my household. My mother attended New York City Tech. She graduated from New York City Tech and then she got her master's from Fordham University. So my cousins, my aunts, from my mom's side, not too many males, but it was like more females than males in the family. And the majority of them all had schooling under their belt where they, furthered their education. So I knew from my mom's side, education was pretty big. So as always, that's, the status quo in most households. You go to school, high school, and you go shipped off to college. You know what I mean? To make a better life for yourself. So even when I got down there, I still had I majored in criminal justice. So I figured that for me, didn't want to be a lawyer. I would be like a probation parole officer. And I got arrested. A couple years later, after being in school, 150 dime bags of marijuana at the bus station. So that shot my plans of majoring in criminal justice.
Coming or going? You got caught with it.
I was leaving Raleigh, headed towards Wilmington, North Carolina with it.
So criminal justice plans done at that point.
Done.
So let me ask you this, man. I'm a big proponent and advocate of HBCUs, and I talk them up whenever I can.
Right.
So I run through these statistics whenever I can, but according to the WhiteHouse.gov, HBCUs have produced 40% of all black engineers in the country, 50% of all black lawyers in the country, 70% of all black doctors in America graduated from HBCUs, and 80% of all black judges in America are graduates of HBCUs. What is it, your experience with an HBCU, what is it about HBCUs that are responsible for such positive statistics?
I believe the information that, you get from them, whereas dealing with the professors, administrative staff, I believe that, once you complete, you have a duty to reach back to your community to share what you have been taught, information that you have gathered throughout your time there to help some fellow other students out, some other folks out. I believe that, it's important that we keep them alive, that the HBCUs alive so that, we have a place to kind of call our own. A lot of these times, these big white schools, you got to jump through types of hoops to really be able to attend. And you still walk away with a degree, but it could be a disconnection to your culture because you're not around the Greeks. I mean, they have them there, but it's like it's a mixture. You know what I mean? You have the white guys, the white sororities, the white fraternities, of course, the black guys. But where the HBCU, everything is black. So that's the beauty of it for me being able to go there because I saw the attraction, and then I was able to travel to other schools, A&T, North Carolina Central, and I went to a small HBCU. But when you get to those big schools, those agricultural technical schools and things of that nature, you see like these guys over here really produce, and people love their alma maters. They go back, they support, and that's just a beautiful thing. So it is our duty and a responsibility to continue the legacy by reaching back and giving back to help those who, you know, can make their lives better and get an understanding of what HBCUs really mean.
What was it like for you? What was describe your experience on a HBCU campus?
It was a block party, meeting different people from different states. You know, places like I attended places that I probably would have never gone had I not went to HBCU. When I got to St. Aug, I met some real cool brothers from Indianapolis. And, to this day here, 30 plus years later, some of us, we still cool and connected. And they were, the vessel to get me to come out to the Midwest. Yo, you got to come out to Naptown and hang out. And so meeting those connections of people that come from different states, different backgrounds, and form uh, relationships that turn into like we're like family now. Your brother was one of the first persons I met on St. Aug campus. Never heard of Yonkers before. Really, been in New York, never heard of Yonkers. You know what I mean? And he was like, "Yeah, I'm from Yonkers," and had an opportunity of going to Yonkers to visit. So it was definitely a place to make some good connections and develop some good friendships that are lasting 30 years plus. So I'm thankful for St. Aug because without them, the people that is in my circle right now, I wouldn't have that connection. I got married, be 12 years this month. My best man, I met at St. Aug, Stavian
Yeah.
Harrison, one of my groomsmen, my man Spud, he met at St. Aug, Derek, another guy that was in the wedding, I met him through his cousin that went to St. Aug with me. So these guys were, became family instantly. And, I think was so now on the education side, it was good. I didn't finish. School was not my top priority at that time. Once I kind of got into that legal trouble, it kind of like, put a taste in my mouth. I thought I let my family down. They were depending on me to ride out, and they send you to school to get an education, but you're down there selling dime bags a week. So I had to get it together at some point, and I did.
Powerful. That's a powerful story and a powerful image. So, in hindsight, you didn't need a 4-year degree to go to get into the culinary arts field. Do you look back on that time as a wasted time because you could have just kind of went straight into culinary arts after high school?
Well, I didn't think about it. Cause remember, I didn't know what I wanted to do. So moving forward, once I got into that legal trouble, and I got through it, ended up with probation, no jail time. I had to get a job. So that was part of the probation. So God led me to a restaurant. I had been looking for different places, tried to go to Winn-Dixie supermarkets. This didn't feel right there. You know what I mean? Stocking and moving through the grocery store. So I tried that for 2 days. I was like, this ain't me. And then there was a restaurant opening up in my neighborhood called Spike's Bar and Grill. And they were hiring for dishwashers, line cooks, things of that nature. So I took a dishwasher position. And I tried to get back in school and work, but that just really wasn't happening. So I ended up working at the place kind of full time. So I just take a break. give me some money, take a break. So I ended up working there, and as I was working as I was doing dishes periodically, they would have me come on the line to help them out when they got busy, whether dropping fries or maybe it was just fries. So I didn't do much, but just drop fries. And so one night, somebody didn't show up. So they said, "Hey, would you like to come on the line and help us out tonight?" I said, "But I still got to do dishes too." They was like, "Yeah, yeah, but we'll look out for you. We'll, buy you some food and give you a shift drink and all that." So I'm like, "All right, cool, no problem." So I did it, and they were very pleased with, me being the first night on there, like all night. Um, they were very pleased with my skill set. And I was like, okay, I guess I could do this. They tell me when to drop them. I drop them. When they ready, I set him float. I put them in a bowl, salt them, give them to the guy on the line. He put them on a plate. So I just did that and chicken wings. That's all I was frying. That and chicken wings for the night. So after the night was over, the owner, Mark, I remember like it was yesterday, he said, how do you think you did? I said, I think I did okay. He said, man, you did phenomenal. He said, you want to work on the line? I said, yeah. He said, you go find me a dishwasher to replace you, and I could give you a couple shifts. I'll give you some shifts on the line. So I went over to St. Aug, and, typically there's people out there that's looking for a job. And so I went to one of my partners, and I was like, yo, you want to work in the kitchen? Like, doing what? I don't want to do the cooking. Then I said, you don't have to cook. You could be a dishwasher. Absolutely. My man, Rod Ski. He was like, when do you want me to start? I said, as soon as you get over there. So Rob went over there, became the dishwasher. They put me on the line. And that my journey from cooking took off right then and there. So as I worked there, I left there and went to Red Lobster. So was in Red Lobster and was dishwashing there too, but they would have me work on the line and do dishwashing. And then they actually opened me up, and then that was my last dishwashing job at Red Lobster. I said, I'm not washing no more dishes. I'm cooking. When I go apply for a position, I'm applying to be a cook. And, of course, they train you how to put the stuff together. It's not like I walked in and I already knew the systems. You'll train for somebody for 2 or 3 days, get to understand the different types of shrimp, how much portions that need to be served and things of that nature. So it came to me real easy. Like it didn't take a lot to you know, to make it happen. Like I wasn't scared. Some people get scared of working these high volume restaurants thinking that, it's gonna be wearing them out. But I enjoy um, working like that. And then you get people who enjoy it too, and it becomes fun because now we cracking jokes, we laughing, we having a good time, and that's when I met my best man for my wedding, who went to St. Aug but didn't know him from St. Aug. We connected at Red Lobster, and we talking about 30 plus years. It started from working in restaurants, so I just moved around. It wasn't until 2000 when I decided to take it seriously because now I'm getting older. I'm 30 now, pushing 30. And then you're thinking, okay, now you're getting old. You're 30 years old. What you going to do with yourself? So I knew that education was big in the household. And I met a gentleman when I was working at Jersey Mike Subs, who was a corporate trainer for Bahama Breeze. And just had a conversation with him about what he was doing. And he shared with me that he flies around and he opens up, Bahama Breezes for the company. And they were there doing a store opening. And he said he did go to culinary school, Johnson and Wales. And was finished by a couple of years. So this is what he'd been doing. So I was like, okay. So that kind of sparked a bug in me to be like, okay, culinary school. All right, I like that. I think I could do that. And I just did some research and saw that there was one in Atlanta, and I sent them. I didn't apply. I can't remember what I did. I just sent a letter, something that I was interested in coming, and they sent me an invitation to an open house. So I was like, okay, cool. Let me come down there and check this out and see what they got going on. So I drove down to Georgia and attended the open house. And I was like, cool, this sounds like something I want to do. And they ran through the curriculum, say what you would have to take in order to, pass this or, to get through different stages and stuff. And so then I applied after that. After I got back, I said, okay, cool, let me apply. And they accepted me. So that got the ball rolling. I'm like, okay, what you gonna do? So at the time, I was in a relationship with a young lady. She lived in Virginia, and I lived in North Carolina. So we were doing long distance for like 2 years. And we decided that we wanted to, live together, but we didn't want to live together in Richmond, and we didn't want to live together in North Carolina. Let's go somewhere where, we could have a fresh start. Nobody knows us, and, we could build our own life. And we ended up moving to Georgia in 2001 and got down here, got situated, and I enrolled in school in March of 2001. And then that's when the journey really started. So back up a little bit, all the restaurants that I worked prior to me going to school, so honing my skills to get to where I am now. So culinary skill gave me the professionalism and gave me the ends of how to run the business. Working at Applebee's, working at Red Lobster, they don't teach you how to run the business. They just teach you how to cook the food. And as long as I traveled to these places, I wouldn't have gotten it unless I became management. And I didn't know at that time, I didn't believe I was ready. Well, I had already had a managerial job at Jersey Mike's. So I knew how hard that was when people didn't show up to work, when people, just attitudes, different personalities. So I just wanted to be a worker. But going to school was going to give me the ability to go anywhere I wanted to go to get a job because now I have the education behind the skill. So that was the reason for me doing the culinary school so that I could be able to navigate through the restaurant world, corporate dining, that type of thing because of the education.
So even though you don't necessarily need it, as somebody that's been in the culinary industry for over 30 years, you recommend it.
I do. But school is not for everybody because along my journey, I worked at a prestigious country club here in Atlanta while I was in school called the Piedmont Driving Club. And the executive chef did not go to school. He worked his way up. Started as a dishwasher, took on some managerial experience, became an ice sculptor. Like he was self-taught. So he saved himself the 30,000, 40,000 that people would pay to go to culinary school by just navigating his way through the industry, taking it seriously, wanting it bad enough. I got a friend right now who owns a restaurant in Charlotte. He's an IT guy. He's never been to culinary school or anything, but you call him Chef Anthony though. So yes, you don't have to go to school, but I did it because I wanted to go back. And the number one thing I'll tell you while I did go is I wanted to make my mother proud. There was nothing that I could ever do to repay her for the things that she's done, the sacrifices that she's made, but making her proud. I told you when I got caught with that weed, that really put a little, gray cloud over her because she didn't know I was doing anything like that. She thinking I was down there working. I said, "What you doing? Working? I'm working." And when that finally hit the fan, she was very disappointed. But of course, parents, they love on their kids. She never turned her back on me. She was there with me to go to court and things like that. So as I started thinking about, how I want my life to play out, I wanted to, whenever my mom talks amongst her friends about me, because she got friends, they got kids. The first thing they say, "Hey, what's your son doing? What's your daughter doing?" I always wanted her to hold her head high and say, "Yeah, oh, my son is a chef. He's down in wherever, working for Ted Montana Grill. They're flying him all over the United States, and he's opening up restaurants. He's doing this, he's doing that." To where maybe one of her girlfriends would say, "Oh yeah, Leon, he's a doctor, he's in medical school," or Tina, she's a lawyer. things of that nature. So at least when she's in conversation with her friends and they ask about me, she can hold her head up high and speak
Yeah.
highly of her son, that he's doing positive things. He's working. He's a chef. He's doing what he loved to do. And I'm so happy and thankful that he got his stuff together. And that was it.
Yeah, that's dope. That from start to finish, that's a really powerful story. What's powerful is that sometimes we look at stuff in life like, yeah, this is such a bad thing or this is bad. Yeah, there's just so many lessons in everything you just said. Yeah, had it not been for you getting caught, yeah, this whole thing probably would have never happened. Yeah, and yeah, but that's the power of the universe and the power of God. Yeah, your whole setup might not have happened had it been for something that was bad at the time. It's also the importance of, yeah, you can't really ever belittle where you are at in life, because yeah, the very thing you're doing now could be the thing that teaches you how to do the thing that you're going to be doing 10 years from now, and you don't even know that you're planting these seeds of greatness. Because you could be like, man, I'm a dishwasher. But yeah, you're looking at it like, yeah, I'm learning. I'm getting something from this. And yeah, it's just a beautiful story, man. Powerful story. So in your, so basically it was a cooking school was a culinary school was a good investment. So you leave, so you're working in these restaurants, and what do you do next? So you leave Ted Turner.
So I'm gonna keep it 100. I was out in Kansas working for Ted's, and I was hanging out that night, and I was driving. I had another worker with us, and I was not paying attention while I was on the highway, and I was going a little too fast. And as I was approaching another vehicle, I slammed on brakes to avoid hitting the vehicle, and ended up on the side of the road, like tires flat, blowout, skidded out, and everything. Right? Thank God nobody was hurt. Um, the police came, asked me had I been drinking. I said no. He gave me the breathalyzer, and he said, "Oh yes, you were. You blew a XY. I can't remember what he said." And he said, "We're taking you in." So at that point right there, I knew my life was over with, right? As far as job wise and things. So I said, you know what? I'm gonna get myself out of this. So the weird thing is that we were leaving the next day. So the car that we were in were rental cars that they would give the workers while we're out to go out, enjoy ourselves a little bit, and we just had to bring those cars back when it's time to leave. I didn't have the car. The car was at an impound. They kept asking me, "Where's the car? Where's the car?" And I'm like, "They impounded it." And I told them, I said, "Well, they thought I was drunk. They realized that I wasn't, so they let me go." So that was a lie that I told them. But just so happened, they didn't keep me there for like the 24-hour period that they typically do. They let me out, and I was able to leave, catch my flight, and get back to Atlanta. So once I got back to Atlanta, my story was they thought I was drinking. I wasn't. They let me go. Da 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 da. I'm good. So the job did their investigation and got the police report, and they said that I was picked up for a DUI. Now, my supervisor at the time had asked me, "Was it a DUI?" And I told him no. When I should have said yes, it was my bad. And the his boss, the big boss, Kim Florence, she was actually fighting for me because the folks were saying that I got a DUI, and she was telling them, no, he did not. He told me. He told me he did not. And she was like, Kim, we got the police report right here. He was picked up. So immediately, and I was in Indianapolis at the time. So they immediately flew me back from Indianapolis back to Atlanta. Once I knew that I was going back, I kind of knew what it was. And the first thing Kim said to me when I walked in his office, she said, "If I could have stuck my hand through the phone to wring your neck, I would have. She said, why did you lie to me? She said, I'm sitting in here fighting for telling the big bosses, Georgia McCarroll, Ted's partner who started Longhorn Steakhouses. She's like, I'm in there fighting for you, saying that you did not get this, and you did. Why didn't you just tell me the truth? Right then, that was my character, was shame. She said, I got to let you go now.
Man.
So that was the
Man.
twist of me to where I am now. That's my part two phase of how I got to here, because now I'm like, you. Best job in the world. The company had just started. I had already done about 20
Man.
some openings, and I was the shit. Walking around, I didn't have like when I would come home from these openings, I would just chill until I go to the next one. So they were opening so many, I didn't have a home restaurant. So where most of the trainers came from existing restaurants, they would get pulled from the restaurant to come help train. A lot of people wanted that job because they hated going back to their restaurant, because they would go back to their hourly raise that they were making before they get on, they get on the road. Me, I didn't have that. So I'm just flexing, coming home, chilling, staying home for 2 weeks. I won't get paid, but I'll make so much money on the road. They pay for your hotel, they paying for your food. You're getting like $20 a day for per diem, and they give you that money up front. So if you out there 90 days, 20 times 90, that's free money for you to do whatever, plus your check from out there working. Beautiful, beautiful. And good Lord took it all away because I was not paying attention and doing craziness. So that went from, I'm on the phone, Brooklyn. Sorry. That went from uh me leaving Atlanta, going to back to New York. Because I had lost my license. I couldn't drive. And, I needed to do some soul searching. So I moved back home in '07, '05. And '07 is when I started the mobile fish fry.
Yeah, so talk about that. So this was the actual birth of Lakee's fish fry.
Chef Fly's fish, absolutely.
So talk about first of all, yeah, just talk about that. What is it? How'd you get the idea?
So being in Brooklyn, there were no real seafood plots in the neighborhood, and I just thought about, okay, well, I'll say this. So I'm in Brooklyn looking for good fish, not really able to get good fish the way we cook it down south. You got your Caribbean spots, you got your Chinese spots, of course, but to get that deep home country style fried fish, there were no places in the neighborhood that was like that. If you wanted something like that, you had to go to Harlem. Or they had a little spot in Brooklyn by Brownsville, but that's like getting on a bus, or at the time I didn't have my vehicle, so nobody's really driving down there to do that. So what happened was my mother drove to Georgia for an event, and I didn't go. I stayed in New York. And my aunt had some of my stuff that I didn't bring with me when I moved. And it was my burner, my turkey fryer base. And I told my mom to bring that. So she did. And when she brought it to New York, I had to find the propane to go with it, because at the time, propane, not saying was foreign, but you couldn't find that at every gas station that you do down here in the South. So a good friend of mine worked for the gas company, and he knew where I had to go get some at. So I got me a propane tank. And once I got the propane tank, I hooked it up. So I remember I was on the block, and everybody was just barbecuing, chicken on the grill and all that stuff. And I was like, man, we're going to get us some fried fish. Like, how you going to do that? I said, watch me. So once that propane got together and I lit that burner up, we got that grease, and we had some good fried fish on the corner. And they was like, yo. So it was like every other day, yo, La, where the fish at? Let's get some fish. And I'm like, yo, dude, y'all tripping. Like, we got to get gas. We got to do this. So what sparked the idea to actually take it to a business, on Mondays in Brooklyn at Wingate High School throughout the summer, they would put on free concerts. So it could be a rap night, gospel night, whatever. So it was one night I went over there. I want to say it was like LL Cool J. Somebody was there, and we went. It's free, so you got to get there early. So we were out there maybe about 4 or 5 o'clock in the day. The show wasn't over till about 10:30, damn near. So we leaving there starving. So as I'm walking to the train station, me and my buddies, I see this brother, Muslim guy, King Fish, and he got a U-Haul truck, and on the back of the U-Haul truck, he has commercial fryers that you have in restaurants, but he had propane attachment hooked up to it. So he frying fish, chicken, shrimp, French fries. He had a long table, collard greens, mac and cheese, rice and peas. And as people were leaving a concert, he was killing them. And I said, you know what? I can do this. I said, I don't need those I don't need those grills like that, but I can get me some more burners and I can set up. I said, I just need 2 burners and 2 pots, 2 propane tanks. Went to went online, went to Home Depot, ordered, because they wasn't even selling them in the Home Depot in New York because it was farming. You know, people, you have to have a home to do that kind of stuff. So they're thinking, we're not going to sell a lot of turkey fries in the hood because where are people going to do that at? People going to, first thing you hear, you're going to blow up your house with that thing. You got to know what you're doing, that type of stuff. You know what I'm saying? But I have been doing propane, working with propane for years prior to that. So I'm good. I can do this with my light, with my eyes closed. So I went and ordered me another burner, and now I got 2. So now I'm going over to Wingate on the low, and I'm setting up, and I'm frying fish up the street from them. Like, yo, ain't no wait over here. You can come through it. I got hot fish and hot shrimp too. So from there, I was like, man, I need to do this in the neighborhood. I said, because this right here would rock out. So there still is, there's a parking lot right outside the train station in my neighborhood, Euclid Avenue, where people, because I'm on the border, East New York, the section that I'm in is on the borderline of Queens. So a lot of people from Queens, Long Island would drive to that part of Brooklyn and park their cars in the lot to jump on a train to go to work if they worked in Manhattan or wherever. And
it's the J that run, ain't it? Because don't Jamaica Ave run through,
the J does go through East New York a little bit, but it's like Broadway, East New York. I'm on the 8th Avenue side.
Oh, okay.
So me, it's the A train. So A train, they're going out to Far Rockaway, going out to Lefferts Boulevard. That's me.
Oh,
So
okay.
anyway, from 205th up in the Bronx, all the way through Manhattan, Brooklyn, and it goes in Queens. It ends up, like, you got 2 sides. You ends up in Far Rockaway, or you go to Lefferts Boulevard. So that's the A line. But so yeah, so I went to the young lady at the parking lot who was running it. Name is Lily. God bless Miss Lily, because she's actually part of the story. Because if she would have said no, then this thing would have never took off.
Yeah.
So I said, "Hey, Miss Lily, how you doing?" Didn't know her name then, but I approached her. I said, "Listen, I'm a chef, and I got a mobile little fish fry business that I want to do, and I was wondering how much would you charge me to set up in the parking lot to fry fish?" She said, "When you want to do it?" I said, "I want to do it on Fridays, because fish is a Friday day." I said, "How much you charge me?" She said, "I won't charge you anything." She said, "I'd like to see positive Black people." She said, "So if you want to do it, you come up here and you get it started." So one of my good friends, Ed, made me about 200 flyers, chef flyers, fish fry, tomorrow, right here in the parking lot, from 4 to 8 or something like that I put. So I stood at the train station and passed out flyers. "Hey, y'all, I got some hot fish coming over here tomorrow right here in the park. You going to be over here tomorrow?" "Yeah, yeah, 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 yeah." So I did a dry run. Went out there with about $300 worth of product. I had some whiting and I had some shrimp, 2 pots, and some grease. And didn't have a tent. Had my mom gave me a couple tables, and she kind of helped me set it up the way it needs to be, like a little kitchen area. And went from there. So I got there probably about 4 o'clock, lit it up, and man, them people was coming out the woodworks. So I was like, okay, it wasn't too bad. Nice little decent day. And that next Friday, I was running late because I was working. And Miss Lily was like, "You can't be telling these people You gonna be out here frying fish, and they out here all day. They been asking, where the fish guy at? Where the fish? I was like, word. I was like,
Word.
I was like, okay, and it just took off from there. So every Friday for 7 years, Friday, Saturday, I would be out there. So I would move throughout the city. Friday, Saturday, I'll be over there. Sunday, I'll go to one of the biggest churches in Brooklyn, CCC, A.R. Bernard's church. He had like 3 services. So I would park kind of across the street from where people would, park their cars. But I was on the sidewalk there, not really in the parking lot, but on the sidewalk. And I set up my little tent, and I would sell fish, make about a good $200 over there on Sundays. Rock out, and then Mondays, Wingate to come about, and I just do that. So I did that and worked up until I met my wife.
So you was on. You at this point you on in the cooking game.
Yeah, I'm good. Like people like, yo, this is amazing. They were smelling the fish in the subway. People coming upstairs. They like, yo, who got that? Boom, and I was just hitting them in the head. So then one of my homegirls' mom, she did like sides. So she would do rice and peas, collard greens, mac and cheese. So they would come to me, pay me for the fish, and then go to her, and she'll hook them up with the sauce. So you was out there really getting soul food plates where there was nobody else doing it, because they only had was Chinese, pizza. You know, across the street, they had the little wing shop where you get your little hero, but nobody was doing no fried fish. And I tell you, even when I go home to today, first thing somebody see me when they say, "Oh, you bought some fish, man?" I'm like, "Nah, man, I'm here to see my moms, man. Yo, you gotta bring that fish back, bro. You gotta bring that back. Ain't nothing in the hood. We got nothing but garbage out here, son." And then the crazy part about it was, I had a protege dude, my neighbor. I tried to turn him on to it, but he didn't want it. But he's a turkey man now. So yeah, so in the midst of that, I started frying turkeys. I was the original turkey fryer in the hood. Nobody was doing that in East New York but me. And I was rocking out. I was doing Thanksgiving turkeys, 25, 30, 40, up until I leave. And I was hitting them in that. Then I was hitting them light. I was charging 25 a turkey. You bring me the turkey, I season it, fry it up. I mean, you had one, didn't you?
Yeah,
right?
yeah, definitely, yeah. And there was I ain't never seen nothing like that, because you had the Hennessy. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, it was just it was an experience out there frying the turkey, and I'm like, yeah. And when I'm out there, I'm like, I think he's on to something huge, man. Because it was just an experience.
Right. And I remember you was asking me questions. I was like, yo, so how you doing this now? Like, you dropping them as soon as these come out? You dropping them?
Yeah, and I'm like, yeah, he's gonna kill it out here. Like, if he's out here few hours, I don't know how long it take to fry turkey, but I do remember leaving like, yeah, he's going to kill it. Because that was at the time when fried turkey wasn't really what it is now.
That's what I'm saying. It was foreign.
Yeah.
I had somebody that day go home, take their joint out the oven, and the wife had just put it in, so it hadn't really got started yet. She's like, "Where you going with my turkey?" I said, "Yo, this dude said he gonna fry for $40 for me right now. I'm gonna do that." And then by the time this turkey was done, she said, and she still ain't got her stuff cooked and the turkey ready. Came back and told me, said, "Yo, they said that was the best turkey they ever had. And they said they don't even want no more oven turkey. They want fried." So I turned my boy on to the business. So now he do it. He the king now. And he's selling this $50 a pop.
Yeah, and that's powerful. Yeah, but even going back to this, like, none of this would have happened if you didn't have the DUI.
Yeah, because my vision was I was going to be at that job forever, because I started on the ground and they knew me in corporate. So from there, it was either going to be like, my vision was going to be maybe like the corporate chef that traveled around to different locations and helped them out with food costs, make sure that they doing, the right menu development, that kind of stuff. So it was like a lot of opportunities with the company, and they still around. I don't think they're opening them up like they were doing then, but you ever heard of Ted's Montana Grill?
No.
So they do bison. That's their thing. They do the buffalo, but they also do beef and things of that too. But it's more of a bison concept. I think they got one in Manhattan. Have you heard about that? You a beef eater?
Every now and again.
Okay, well, yeah, if you ain't a big burger, but they do other stuff, that chicken, things of that nature. But yeah, look them up and see if they got them anywhere. And nice little, you know what I'm saying, establishment. They got it decked up in there. I haven't been there since shit, that was like 04, '05 when they let me go. '04.
All right, yeah, I'll definitely check into it. Yeah, this story is crazy. So you meet your wife in 2011. So Chef La at this point, Chef La's fish fry is already bubbling. So you moved to Georgia. So did you have any apprehension about, yeah, I got a whole base. I got a whole customer base here. I'm bubbling. I'm moving. Did you have any apprehension about going to a whole new city and having to do a whole new region of the country and then having to start from the beginning?
Well, this is the thing. I had already lived here. So it's me coming back to where the journey kind of really took place. Almost. You know what I'm saying? I started in Atlanta with culinary school, so it wasn't like you were bringing me somewhere that I wasn't familiar with. So that was the plus. If she told me she lived in Mississippi or, Louisiana, something like that, I probably been a little reluctant to do it, hesitated to do it. But the fact that, by this time, I'm ready to get out of New York. I had been there 7 years. It's the same old, in the hood, rented expensive. I'm at Mom Duke's crib. So for me, I was working on my next step. I was working at a hotel. Actually, no, I was at the time that I left, I had been at a nursing home for about a few months before I met my wife. So I was like the kitchen manager there, and that was up the street from the house. So that was beautiful because now I didn't have to get on the train and go to work. I could walk to work. So I was doing that and still doing my fish business. And when I meet my wife, and it's crazy because I don't think you know the story how I met my wife. A friend of mine.
I read it on your.
Yeah. So we just meet one night, Red Rooster, and things of that nature. So to go answer your question, she just said it real plain and simple. You could do this in Atlanta, and you could kill it because I know a spot that can go off right now. So when she came back for a wedding, she was like, "Yo, they got the spot." Spot that it was an old Church's Chicken, a drive-through. She said that'd be perfect. We could get it. So she's already talking like, "Yo, I'll need you to come down here," because she always thought about owning a restaurant. To meet a chef that has the same vision, same aspirations, she was like, "This is a no-brainer. So either we're gonna be business partners or lovers. So you figure out what's what." But I think we could do it. So I was like, "Well, yo," she was talking that real heavy talk.
I like how you talking.
You know what I'm saying? She ain't the what ifs or, maybe. She like, "Yo, we could do this." So I'm like, okay. So that was enough right there to be like, I could be out. And so she actually found the location, going on her way to work. So what happened was we had bought a food trailer, and in Georgia you need a commissary to operate it. So meaning that you have to have like a brick and mortar already establishment where you prep your food at and things of that nature to kind of call your home base. So we had went and researched those, and people were asking like 1,500, 3,000 a month, and I'm like, damn, it's like we're working to pay them to stay there. You know what I mean? To have that, and when do we make money? So I was like, okay, well, let's put that on pause for a second. So we kept it at the house, and on her way to work, she ran by this place that where we are now, and she spoke to the owner at the time to see would he be interested in, having a commissary with us. And he said, "Listen, if you want it, you can get it. I'm ready to go. I'm ready to do something else." So he had been there for about a few years, and he was, I guess, outgrowing it. He wanted to, needed a bigger spot. So he was like, she was like, "Well, how much do you want for it?" And we went through all that, and then maybe 2 months later, she was like, "Yo, we got us a spot. We want a restaurant." So I couldn't say no. This is what we kind of talked about. I was like, "Yeah, let's do it." And we did it. We put the plan in motion, and she did her logistics. Got all the information that we needed, and did her research. And June 13th, 2013, we opened up Chef La's Fish Fry, Atlanta, Georgia.
So check this out. So you've been in so I know you've heard it. You've been in the culinary industry at this point 30 plus years. Yeah. So what about the people as like and everybody hears it, but like the dude that's like, yeah, my mom make the crazy meatloaf. I'm trying to tell her to get a restaurant, or like my girl make the banging wings. So we trying to get a restaurant. What do these people who think that, what don't they know about the restaurant business that they should know?
It's not about just selling wings and giving them to some people. You have to know the, what's the word? You have to know like the sanitation side of it too. You know what I mean? Cross contamination, how to store food, what temperature that you serve food at. You know what I mean? Um, the business side, the licenses, the taxes, things of that nature that I really didn't know too much about until I opened up. You know what I'm saying? I knew about the food cost piece, knew about the inventory, I knew about, the sanitation, but sales tax. Every time you sell $1 of water, you got to give a percentage that the IRS. And they want their money regularly. Anytime a credit card transaction gets through, you have to pay those processing fees, things of that nature. So you have to do your due diligence on all the money that you're going to have to spend quarterly for taxes, monthly for incidentals. Your hood system can go out. Your fryer, your refrigeration could go out. So um, I'm not discouraging people. I'm not a dream killer. So if you feel you can take these wings to the next level, don't let me deter you from doing that. But just understand the business side. So I would tell them, get the business side down pat. If you got the cooking, that's one thing. Get the business side, because you can cook, but you also got to know how to operate the business.
So, in your opinion, can good customer service outweigh less good food? Or
It's like up and down, not too far up, because if I go to a place and the service was great, but the food was subpar, I might give you another shot because the service was good. You paid attention. You knew I wasn't happy. You tried to make it whatever you could do to make my dining experience better. Now, I don't charge the messenger because the messenger is the server. The kitchen staff is the one who put that crap out. So the messenger can't really be held accountable too much, but because this is her industry, she needs to make sure that her customer is getting what they're paying for. So the food got to be hot. It got to be what they ordered. It needs to be fresh. It needs to be on point. So with that being said, there's three things that I've learned from Ted's, from George McCarroll. And I took this with me, and I always use that at our restaurant. You want to have great service, great food. What was the other one? I'm tripping. Great service, great food, and great attitude. So when people come into the restaurant, he said you want to treat people like that they're coming into your house. Like he always hated when he went to a place and said two for dinner, two for lunch. He said you want to welcome these people like, hey, come on in, how you doing, bro? Good to see you, man. Thanks for coming in. First time here? All right, cool, but let me walk. So you want to be wild, because once you give people that, they don't have a problem coming into the establishment paying because they feeling that they're being respected and you're welcoming. When you're just short with them and you're not honoring, their ability to be in there, because if they don't come in, we don't make the payments. They don't come in, we can't pay you. So we want them to come in and we want them to feel welcome. We want them to feel excited about being here. And by doing that, you got to have a great attitude. You can't be down and slow with the response. You got to be feeling like, this is the best. Every customer, and not even a customer, every guest is the best guest in the house.
so reverse it, and above par food, below par service. Are you going back?
I mean, I have. I've always, because me being in the business, you got to give people a shot. So maybe it's the cook. Maybe it's a different cook this week. Maybe Monday, the guy that really put his all in all to it was off. But if you go on Wednesday, he probably back, and you're like, okay, yeah, this is what I'm talking about. So I'm willing to give you a second chance.
Even for service, though? Yes, service. Yeah,
I mean, it all. Listen, I understand now that, and that's why I don't eat out a lot. I'm pretty much cooking. My wife, she's the eat out queen, but she do a lot of that when I'm at the restaurant. But like on Sundays, we have dinner. You know, Mondays we still have dinner if it's leftovers, or we may tip out every now and then. But you know, if I do get something to eat, it's a place that I'm familiar with, and they got something particular that I'm going to get, and it's usually like a vegetable or some good wings. And you know, I don't really trip about, you know, the service, because I know I'm not going to be here that long, and typically they go. So I say this to say that, you know, me being a restaurant guy, I know that we do drop the ball. So I have to look at it from my perspective as well, that, you know, I'm not going to go on social media or write you a nasty review without talking to you. Now, if I talk to you and you still give me your ass to kiss, I just don't go back.
So, according to the Bureau of Labor Statistics, 20% of all small businesses go out of bit fail within a year. 50% fail within 5 years. 70% of all small businesses fail within 10 years. In your Smyrna location, you're being there 11 years. Mm-hmm. What did you know, or what do you do that the other 70% that failed don't do?
I didn't believe in that mantra. I came down with the hustling mentality, and I said, it's going to work. It's going to work. And we had our days where we like, really? But I kept pressing, kept being there, staying consistent. You know, that three thing I mentioned, you know, the attitude, the service, the food.
Have you ever had to deal with any kind of failure in your business? Like you ever launch a product or launch something that didn't work?
I ain't gonna say it didn't work. You have like seasons for it. You know what I'm saying? So I've done pasta, and it kind of go, but it's not like an everyday thing. The things that I did add to the menu are still there. Like when we started, I didn't have turkey wings, so that's been there. Grilled salmon, that's been there. Rib tips, you know what I mean? Like I turn those on and off, but that was something that I added later on down the line. Only thing I want to say that, like I said, it's kind of hard, because what I do is I say I kind of create specials. So things that, like, this is the special of the day. And if it's hitting, you know, it'll be just for a couple days, and then I'll try something else. So any item that's on the menu now that's been on there since the opening has been there with me throughout the last 10 years, and we sell out. We sell all of it. I ain't gonna say we sell out all the time, but we sell all of it. If that makes sense.
It does. No, it makes sense. It makes sense. So how does Chef Lakee define success?
Being consistent. I mean, that's the only thing that I could say. Being consistent with the quality of your product, being consistent by having your doors open. And, you know, the success for me comes from the community, you know, because I'm not where I am without them. You know, if they don't come into the doors, the restaurant is not a success. So it's the people who come in, who spend their hard-earned working money to give me the ability to be open this long.
I would have to assume, I didn't look it up or anything, but I would have to assume there's hundreds of restaurants in the vicinity of yours. What are people going to get from Chef La's Fish Fry that they will not get from the other 200 restaurants around?
They're going to get some hot, seasoned, appetizing fish of their choice, whether it be whiting, catfish, tilapia, flounder, perch. Good comfort seafood with a twist of soul food.
So in other restaurants that you go to, what is your pet peeve with in going to other restaurants?
When the food don't come out hot.
So that's really important to you.
Yeah, hot food, hot, cold food, cold. If I come to your restaurant and I sit at the table for 25 minutes, then that food needs to be coming out. That food needs to come out smoking. My fries, I shouldn't even be able to put them in my mouth without, blowing. You know what I'm saying? Like my chicken, whatever I order, should come out steaming. And it's crazy because I have to share that with the server before she leaves the table. Because if I don't say it, then I'm gonna have to have her send the food back, and I don't want that. So I have to let them know, please, the food has to come out hot. If you want to, take one of them fries and see. Make sure your hands are clean. If it's not hot, put it back. And I get basic stuff. I don't go over the top because that's when you have the problems with it. But when they mess up chicken wings, when they mess up French fries, like I have a problem with that because those are the easiest things to do, and it shouldn't take that long. You know what I mean? My vegetables should be hot. Like I don't want room temperature vegetables on my plate. If you got to microwave it or put it in a saute pan and bring the temperature up on it, I need that.
So I tell you what, just do a quick 30-second or however long you want. Do a quick 30-second or so commercial for Chef La's Fish Fry.
Hey, good people. Welcome to Chef La's Fish Fry, where every day is a Friday. We're located 4924 South Cobb Drive, Smyrna, Georgia. Our operating hours are Tuesday through Saturday, 11 a.m. to 8:30 p.m. We got the flavor from the mouth straight to your south.
Nah, it's like I said, man, this is just inspiration. The story itself is inspirational, and someone is going to look at it and see that things that you think might be bad are not necessarily bad. They're the turning points that'll guide you down your down the path that you're supposed to be going down. So what's next for Chef La's Fish Fry?
Next for Chef La's Fish Fry, actually thinking about retiring from the restaurant business and focus on my mobile food trailer business.
Okay, so you're you looking to get out of the brick and mortar game?
Yeah, cut the overhead down. A lot of the light bill, utilities, things of that nature. We did an event yesterday called a Taste of Mableton, and we made yesterday in one day more than we ever made in one day at the restaurant. We would have to work a whole week to get what we made in one day yesterday for 8 hours. So I'm sold. We didn't have to pay no rent. We had to pay $250 to get involved with it, but we made $5,000 yesterday. Now, if I could do two of those a week, I'm beautiful.
What's next for Chef La? Or better yet, what's next for Lakee Upshaw?
I'm focusing on products now. We're 95% scratch kitchen. So we make all our sauces. We even have a signature drink, the peach lemonade, strawberry lemonade. And we won an award for it in 2013 for the tastiest beverage for the Taste of Marietta. So I'm thinking about how I can proceed getting it in the stores.
So, and that's an add-on, or are you at this point just trying to?
Well, we're doing it now. We're selling it from the restaurant now. We just trying to see what it would do to get it in the stores. It's really we got to get it to where it makes sense, to where we can build it for less than what we're building it for now. If that makes sense. If it takes us $2, $3 to build it, we need to be able to get it in the stores where it's only taking us maybe $1.50, $1. That makes sense. You know what I mean? So that our profit margin could be where it needs to be. By the time you pay for the ingredients, the bottling, the labeling, you know what I'm saying? That's the cost that's there. And then so we selling it for $4. The store's gonna have to at least sell it for $6.
Right.
So that can be a little discouraging to a buyer. They want to buy low so they could sell high. They don't want to buy high and then
have to
can't
sell
make
higher.
no money.
Yeah. So before we let you go, there's what we call the black box segment of the show, where we ask each of our guests to make a deposit of some wisdom, insight, or advice or guidance to help uplift the black community. Or some segment of the black community. So like entrepreneurs, or husbands, or the youth. What would you like to deposit, or what can you deposit for us in that black box?
Write down your thoughts, affirm them, speak positivity to them, and stand on it. Journaling is always good. To write down your experiences, to write down the things that you want, and give gratitude for them, and also speak them out every day.
So this is for entrepreneurs.
Yeah. Stay on it, dream about it, visualize it, and you can make it work.
So everybody, once again, Chef Lakee. Listen,
Thank you, brother.
Thank you. No, thank you for your time and your energy today. I know I had 1,000 questions, but I think I speak for all of us when I say thank you for being a positive black image, an image of success and drive and dedication and all of that. Thank you for being a positive image, and thank you for being an inspiration to our community. And I also think that I speak for all of us when I say how extremely proud of you and extremely proud of you we all are. And we wish you all the best, continued success.
Thank you, brother. And I wish you the best and continued success in your endeavors. And, let me know when you cross that stage, man, when you get that law degree, man, come up and we can have a nice fish fry.
Yeah, definitely. But I want to thank you all for watching, and thank you for listening to the We Don't Believe You podcast series. And if you also choose not to believe the false negative narratives or stereotypes perpetuated about black people, but you choose to succeed in spite of them, please like, share, and subscribe. Thank you for everything, and let's make good stuff happen. Peace.
Good night, brother.
Thanks for listening to the We Don't Believe You podcast with your host, Brian McCoy. We hope you feel enlightened and empowered by our show. Please visit our YouTube channel at We Don't Believe You and our socials at We Don't Believe You on Facebook and Don't Believe You on Twitter X. Please subscribe and share our podcast. Peace.